Guy have shot himself.
Well, maybe the two fellows who drove the truck might have had some idea of robbing a bank. So they bribed this night watchman to let them into the second floor of that building. See, Tom, at First National Bank's on the ground floor.
Oh.
And maybe our friend took a gun along just in case the racketeers tried to double-cross him. Then he accidentally shot himself, was afraid that an investigation would tie him up with the robbery. So he might have tried to make out like someone else had done the shooting.
Jeepers. Crooks just don't have a chance, do they?
I'm afraid they don't, Tommy. Sooner or later, the law always catches up with them. And, Tommy, while it's true G-men are specially trained to collect evidence and apprehend criminals, even shoot it out with them when necessary, there are times when these G-men most depend on their ingenuity alone to crack a case.
How do you mean?
Well, let's bring another stolen car into our case.
You mean a stolen car to fit into this case we're imagining?
Absolutely. Now, we've traced this stolen car across a couple of state lines, and we suspect that the man we want is in a little cabin in the mountains. But this time, we'd have to take it easy because a regular raid would have caused a lot of unnecessary shooting, maybe killing. Well, that would mean we'd need a special agent who was pretty familiar with that part of the country. A man who knew how to talk to people's language, so we might be able to get our man without fireworks. Our G-man was strictly on his own. He just had to depend on plain old horse sense. So, early one morning, this G-man set out alone up the steep trail that led to a lonesome dwelling. Presently, he came to a weather-beaten shack. He opened the door. There inside, he found an old mountaineer seated near an ash-filled fireplace.
You're a government man, ain't you?
Yeah. You're Jed's father, ain't you?
That's right. I'm Jed's pappy, and you ain't going to take him.
You're right. He ain't here, so I can't take him. Somebody play that fiddle around here?
Sure, I do myself. And folks say I'm the best fiddler betwixt here and Nashville.
You don't say.
Yeah.
I used to fiddle a little bit myself. Looks like a mighty good violin. You mind if I look at it?
Sure, pick it up. Well, but no, you can play that thing. Yeah, that's pretty. I never heard that one before. Well, stranger, that was first-class fiddling. Maybe after a bite of victual, you'd play some more. I never knowed there was so much music in that old fiddle afore.
Well, I gotta be getting back.
How about Jed? You want him, don't you?
No, I don't want him. The government wants him. You know how it is when the government wants a man. It may take days or months or years to get him, but the longer it takes, the worse off he is.
Look here, stranger. I reckon you're all right. I like the way you talk, and I like the way you fiddle. I'll have Jed at the sheriff's office tomorrow noon.
Noon tomorrow. Well, so long till then.
Gee, you mean you could have nabbed him just like that?
Just like that, Tommy, without firing a shot. All because that G-man used plain old horse sense. Besides, by making friends with Jed's father, he was able to get quite a bit of information.
You mean you could have got the goods on the whole gang?
Well, maybe not the whole gang, but on enough to know definitely that everything was planned by one mob. The cattle rustling, the attempted bank robbery, everything.
Frank O'Connell, eh?
Could have been. At least we'll presume that all the men we'd watched so far had worked for O'Connell at one time.
Then why didn't you nab O'Connell?
We hadn't completed our case.
Wow, this case is getting bigger and bigger.
For instance, we might have had to call on that gentleman over there.
Why? What's he doing?
He's checking a clue under a comparison microscope. Here, take a look at this display.
What are they?
Hairs, Tommy. Hairs from different animals, as well as a collection of slides showing 28 distinct shades of human hair. This is known as the hair and fiber section.
Does it have something to do with our case?
Well, let's see if it does. Let's suppose that our crooks, like all crooks, finally ran up against the wrong man. A few days later, local police officials found a murder on their hands. It happened in a small filling station just on the edge of town. After 2 days of exhaustive search, the officer in charge of the investigation reported to his superior.
Got anything on that filling station murder, Sergeant?
Not a clue, Captain. No fingerprints. No footprints worth checking. The murderer wore rope-soled sport shoes. You know, apparently he just walked in, stuck a knife in the old man, and cleared out.
Oh, that's fine. Just dandy. Reckon the old man was tied up in black market gasoline.
Not a chance. Why, just the other day he chased a fellow out of his place and tried to peddle some coupons to him.
You say someone did try to sell him coupons?
That's what I was told. The old man's a stickler for honesty. So he chases a guy. Hey, wait a minute. Why didn't I think of that before?
Hello? Yes? Oh, in his left hand, huh? Nothing else? Okay. Coroner's office found a couple of hairs in the old man's left hand.
Hey, Chief, I just thought of it. The old man tossed out the last guy that tried to palm gas coupons on him. Now, suppose the same guy tried again.
He might have gotten pretty hot, threatened this guy,
And the guy knifes him.
Well, it's a good guess. Find who tried to sell him those gas coupons.
I tell you, you guys got nothing on me.
Oh, haven't we now? Would you be interested to know you're booked for murder?
Fat chance. Where's your proof?
So it's proof you want, eh, Anderson? Remember that filling station killing last week?
What about it?
Just this about it. The murdered man tangled with his assailant just before he got a knife in his ribs, and a couple of hairs got caught in a ring he wore on his left hand.
Very interesting. So now you got a couple of hairs.
You wanted proof, Anderson. You're carrying it under your hat. The hairs in the hand of the murdered man match yours exactly.
That's what the hair and fiber section has to do with our case, Tommy.
What do you know? They pinned a murder rap on Anderson with just a couple of hairs.
Yes. And that would have just about sewed up our case, except for one thing.
What was that?
O'Connell tried to drop from sight entirely.
How could he do that?
He couldn't, but maybe he thought he could. Let's suppose that he tried to dodge fingerprint identification. You see, Tommy, skin corrugations on the fingers appear about 3 months before birth, and they never vary. The criminal knows this. O'Connell knew it, but suppose, like all criminals, he tried to convince himself that in his case, nature would make an exception.
All right, O'Connell, let's remove the bandages and have a look at those fingers.
What a sweet surprise the feds will get when they check my new fingerprints.
You know, O'Connell, if this works, it'll be the first time.
What do you mean? It'll work. It's got to.
No man's fingerprints have ever been changed by an operation.
All right, come on. Get those bandages off, Doc.
Okay. There you are.
That's a ticket. No fingerprints. Well, I can't even... Hey, Doc. Look at that finger.
Uh-huh.
And that one.
Yeah. I told you it wouldn't work, O'Connell. Your fingerprints are coming back just as they were before I operated.
You mean even an operation didn't change his fingerprints?
No, Tommy. Fingerprints cannot be changed. Acid, burn, surgery, nothing affects them for long. That's why the 91 million prints that we have on file here at the FBI are the biggest man-trap ever devised.
Wow. What'd O'Connell do after that?
O'Connell went back to his old hideout, but he already had that spotted. Then, to clean up the case, of course, we would have planned to attack at night. Let's imagine that shortly after midnight, the lead car drew up a short distance from the hideout.
All right, man. We've blocked all roads. There's no chance for them to escape. Have your guns ready?
Okay, Chief, we're ready for him.
All right. You! Inside there! The house is surrounded! Come out with your hands up!
They heard you, Chief. Looks like we'll have to smoke them out.
Come out! Or we'll come in!
The whole gang's in there.
All right. Drive them out. Are you ready to come out yet?
Well, give them the tear gas. Right. Here they come. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Only 6 of them, Chief. There should be 7.
Whatever's left in there, better come along.
No, I don't, Cumber. You want me? Come and get me.
That's O'Connell, Chief. He's upstairs.
Guess why the gas didn't get him. Give him another dose.
That'll bring him out. That did it. Here he comes. Watch it.
He's liable to try to shoot his way out. All right, men. Load the rest in the car.
What about O'Connell, Chief?
Well, I think we'd better have the morgue handle that. That last blast got him.
Gee, you almost had me believing you there for a while. Sometimes I forgot this was just an imaginary case.
It wasn't as imaginary as you might think, Tommy. I told you a story just to connect all the things you saw here. Blood analysis, the work of the hair and fiber section, ballistics, fingerprints. We changed names and places. But in the FBI files are actual case histories which parallel the very things I've been telling you.
You mean it actually could have happened?
Yes, indeed, Tommy. It happens every day. We take a piece of blood-stained cloth and clear one man by proving the stains weren't from human blood and convict another by proving that his gun fired the murder bullet. We locate a criminal's truck by identifying its make and model, color, and tires. We discover who drove the truck by fingerprints found in the cab. And finally pin a murder rap on a black market operator by identifying a couple of hairs caught on the ring of the man he killed. And what do you think about that?
Oh, boy. I'm gonna be a G-man when I grow up.
Today's chapter of Adventure Ahead has taken you behind the scenes of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. For obvious reasons, names, dates, and places were purely fictitious, but the entire story was based on actual incidents and factual material contained in the book Inside the FBI by John J. Florida. Investigative techniques were those which Mr. Florida describes, which are used daily by the Department of Justice in solving crimes and safeguarding America. Today's chapter in Adventure Ahead was adapted for radio by Howard Caraway and was directed by Joseph Mansfield. Music was by Doc Whipple. Adventure Ahead is presented as a public service by NBC and its affiliated independent stations. This is the National Broadcasting Company.